Hello, and welcome to the Red and Blue Sessions, the podcast where football passion meets fierce rivalry. I'm Corey, your resident Liverpool fan, basking in the glory of our team's dominance. Well, most of the time.
And I'm Liam, the proud, long-suffering Everton fan, here to bring some balance to Corey's internal optimism.
Together, we'll dive into the latest football news, transfer gossip, and all the drama that makes the beautiful game so addictive. From Merseyside debates to the biggest stories across the leagues, expect banter, bold opinions, and plenty of laughs along the way.
Whether you're a red, a blue, or just love football, this is the podcast for you.
But before we dive headfirst into this week's debate, you can get involved in the Red and Blue Sessions too.
That's right. Whether you want to share your thoughts on whatever nonsense Corey's sprouting this week, or even suggest a topic for us to argue about, I mean discuss, we want to hear from you.
You can send your emails to the red and blue sessions at gmail.com or slide into our DMs on social media.
Right, let's get into it.
Okay, so before we get into this week's topics, Liam and I have some news to share, haven't we, Marshy?
So, Corey and I have been talking, and well, we just don't think you get enough of us. So, we've decided to bring you even more of the Red and Blue sessions.
Absolutely, Marshy. We're kicking off our bonus episodes. Each Tuesday, starting on Tuesday, the 11th of February, we'll be dropping extra episodes where Liam and I answer your questions and discuss the topics you want to hear. So if you've got a burning football debate, a controversial opinion, or just want to see Liam struggle to defend Everton, now's your chance.
Oh, and there's more. Each week, we'll be going head to head to debate our player of the week. Expect strong opinions, stats, and probably a few arguments along the way.
Want to get involved? Email us at the red and blue sessions at gmail.com or slide into our DMs on social media. Your question could be featured in our next bonus episode.
Now, Corey, we should mention we've had a really interesting question from one of our listeners, John.
Yes, a very interesting question, Marshy. And actually, John's question was the inspiration for us deciding to release bonus episodes. So, John, thank you for such an interesting question and for inspiring our bonus episodes. I'm sure our listeners will thank you in time. We hope.
Unfortunately, though, we're not going to answer John's question in this episode, and we're going to save it for our first bonus episode on Tuesday. We think John's question is really going to spark some healthy debate between Corey and me, which may well take up the whole of this episode.
But we thought we'd compromise and share John's question with you all now so that you have an opportunity to send us your thoughts and suggestions. So, John says, Hi Corey and Liam, massive football fan here. My question for you today is two separate ones. Firstly, who is your favourite ever player for each team? Secondly, create a combined 11 of both teams. However, there must be 5 and 6 players of each team. It cannot be one team dominated. Many thanks, guys, and all the best, John.
Told you it was interesting, didn't I?
Right, Marshy, announcement over. Let's get into our topics for this week. So first of all, we're going to talk about last weekend's Premier League matches. First of all, we're going to talk about Liverpool's win against Bournemouth. I mean, it wasn't a comfortable win for Liverpool. Obviously, Bournemouth had their chances to score, but couldn't take them. Obviously, as most teams know, when you play us, if you don't take your chances, you're going to get bit. So that's what happened. And 1-2-0. Obviously, there was that controversial penalty decision when Gakpo was fouled and the ref gave a penalty. And obviously, VAR looked at it and said it was a penalty. I want to hear your opinion on this penalty, Liam, as an Everton fan.
Personally, I think it was like, did you watch the Leicester game when we played Leicester? It was similar to that, I thought, when Beto got brought down. Well, when I say brought down, he got stamped on, and well, he got brought to the floor. So in that way, it is a pen, same way as the Cody Gakpo one was. But what needs to happen in that, if that is a controversial penalty, which was given to use, but it sometimes isn't given to other teams. The referees need to be more consistent in their decision making, not award a penalty like Gakpo's 1 week, and then the next week they go, nah, but you know what? Get up off the floor. We're not going to award you the penalty this week, which could be infuriating to some sides who maybe look at changing the atmosphere of the game by getting the penalty. I'm not saying like players deliberately go and get penalties, but that instance, I think it was 0-0 up until that point, wasn't it, to the penalty? So, it was quite heated I'd say, in that regard, in terms of um, both teams going at each other, feeding each other into the game, see what ones each other are going to be playing like. And I think Liverpool getting that penalty, I think, enhanced the atmosphere, and it got Liverpool what they needed to spur themselves on to win the match.
I mean, the last time we lost on Bournemouth's ground was 2023, where that 1-0 loss where Salah missed the penalty. And obviously, coming into this game against Bournemouth at their ground, and obviously Salah getting that penalty, I was thinking, oh God, don't miss it, please. Because obviously, this was a big game. After coming off a loss to PSV, we needed to bounce back to keep that title pressure on Arsenal to keep up with us. And I was just happy to get the win. And obviously, Salah again at his best form, 2 goals, and obviously that second goal was just so good. The way he just looked up and said, "Do you know what? I'm just gonna kill this," and he just went straight over everyone and just into the back of the net. Goalkeeper didn't even have a chance to dive. It was that quick that he just had to stand there and watch it go in the back of the net.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it was a brilliant goal by Mo Salah. I'm not taking that away from him. It was a brilliant goal. But how many times has he done that across the whole time he's been at Liverpool, or this season? He's tried to hit it top bins, or he's tried to hit it in the top corner, and it hasn't quite gone in. And I know it's a fantastic goal. I'm not taking that away from Mo Salah. But you've got to think his shots on goal ratio must be high. With a player of his stature, he should be in that corner every game, really, shouldn't he?
Hmm.
But like I said, it was a brilliant goal. I'm not taking anything away from him. I just feel at times he can be too greedy for Liverpool, in terms of he could have brought someone else in to get a goal, or no doubt, he's probably thought, you know what, I'm going to capitalise on Bournemouth's poor game. So yeah,
Yeah, great win for Liverpool. Keeps them top of the table and keeps the pressure on Arsenal to keep performing. It won't be for just now. I think once we get that win against Everton, it's gonna be hard for Arsenal to come back.
well, did you say you'd be winning at us? I don't think so.
Yes, we will win against you. There's no doubt
No,
about it.
no, I don't think so.
Yes. Right. If we beat Tottenham tonight, because at the time of recording this, the Liverpool Tottenham game, second leg is tonight. We are easily going to win that. And then obviously, if we go into the weekend against Plymouth in the FA Cup, where we'll get into our predictions later on in this episode for the Premier League clubs competing in the FA Cup games, I think we have a high chance at beating you at Goodison.
Didn't you just get beat last time in Spurs? Up?
Yeah, 1-0, 1-0.
And is
And
it
they're
Anfield tonight?
yeah, they're coming to Anfield, so
Yeah, I think the fan base could have an influence on tonight's game. I think
mm.
because the atmosphere can be quite loud and quite overpowering. So I I can see it being a close game tonight. But you know me, I don't want you to win. So I'd rather Tottenham win, to be honest. But if you asked me last night, I didn't even know. I didn't want either Tottenham. Tottenham. I didn't even want even Arsenal or Newcastle in, because I don't like both of them.
Well, they did, but
I
it'll be
know, but
okay.
I know.
It'll be okay because if we make it to the final, I'm sure we'll beat Newcastle. Now we're gonna talk about obviously your game against Leicester, Liam. It's a great game for you. I mean, the last time you won against Leicester was in 2022. It was a 2-1 win, and obviously Leicester did have that absence from the Premier League that one season. But what a game. I mean, you literally kick off, ball goes back to Pickford, boots it up, and the Corey's just like, "Oh, I'll take this," and just runs through and scores.
Yeah, no, it was an absolutely cracking game to watch. To be honest with you, I didn't. If you said to me at the start of the match, "Oh, Everton are going to win this game 4-0," I would have said to you, what are you doing? What are you? What? What? No, no, no. Everton don't score more than 2 goals. It's fine. Okay, so 2-0, that would have been fine. No, but all seriousness though, I don't know what Moyes is doing in that Everton camp. He must be doing something right because he's got everyone banding together, fighting for one another. It's just great to see. Do you know what it looks like? It looks like we've got a team again. I know with Dicey, he obviously had his own coaching setup and coaching strategies, whatever. But you could see the players do starting to get fed up with his tactics. You know, he with Dice, he was more of a defending manager. He was get every player behind the ball and then fight your way through it. With Moyes, you know, he went away. He's learned. He's perfected his man management. His first interview, I know against Aston Villa, I know we lost 1-0 or 2-0, whatever. I think it was 1-0. Anyway,
Yeah, 1-0.
the one thing he done especially that I noticed, which certainly most Evertonians did notice, was in his press conference after the game, without even being asked the question about the players, he was praising players, which, you know, Dyche never done. Okay, he might have done it if he had a question prompting him to praise a certain player, but that's what good managers do. They don't even have to have a question to prompt them. They'll just say it anyway. Like, to me, Jake O'Brien, fantastic player. You know, start off at centre half, and then with the injuries to like Coleman and Patson not being match fit, you know, he's took a massive gamble putting a centre back at right back. But then he comes out and says, you know, most centre halves would play full back anyway. But you know, if he's praising Jake O'Brien for his performance, it's going to give him a little bit of a boost, like his ego a little bit going, "Oh, I'm playing really well now. I'm going to go into the next game in a good mood and a good attitude, and we're going to keep going, so to speak." But you can see now the attacking side has started to come out. Like, you know, we haven't got bad players in the squad. These are the same players that Dyche had. Moyes is obviously doing something a lot more different on the training ground that we're not seeing. Whether that be he must be doing more attacking or he's learned at West Ham, Real Sociedad. I think he was in Spain. I know he didn't have a good time there, but you know he won a European Cup with West Ham. You know, to me, it's just a nice thing to see for Everton to be firing again and having this sort of like band of brothers type thing where they know going into the game if they know what they're doing, they know where everyone is on the pitch, so you know where the ball is going to be played. Like you saw the James Garner assist, he pinged that ball from his midfield position all the way up for Beto to run onto. Those Leicester centre halves didn't know what to do with Beto. By the way, Beto, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. I know a lot of Everton fans will sit here and say he hasn't been the greatest striker in the world. But yeah, well, the one thing he has shown in his time here at Everton so far is he's got that grit and determination to want to strive and do well. And he wants to play for the shirt, which most fans do sort of sympathise with. And that's what we want to see is our striker play for the shirt, getting onto those balls, fighting with, and I mean fighting, I don't mean like fisticuffs, you know, fighting to keep the ball, or if they lose the ball, he's going to fight to win it back. You know, I think when the injury came onto Calvert-Lewin, I did start to think, going, "Oh no, we've got no striker." And then I forgot we had Beto for a split second. But what a game for Beto to showcase his talent in terms of Calvert-Lewin's now injured. It's now my time. I've got to show the boss what I can do. What can I bring to the team? And he's done it well, scoring 2 goals. You know, yeah, okay, he could have got a hat-trick, but it's a steady progress. So yeah, it was just nice to see. It was very quick, the goals. They wanted to put pressure on Leicester from the off, which they done well. Leicester just couldn't keep a hold on us, keep a hold on it. It was like watching a Sunday League match, but I know that might be discredit to everything, but the defence was an absolute shambles for Leicester. They've got Ruud van Nistelrooy, who was a fantastic manager in the Dutch league with, I think he managed PSV when we had, and he had Jared Branthwaite on his team, but that Leicester defence just passed like the Red Sea. They just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Beto, I mean, he looked like when Dyche was the manager, Beto, we never really seen him. When he played, you never seen him like do anything really. He didn't really get on the ball, never like ran into space trying to get the ball into his running line and score. He didn't really come out of his shell for Deitch. But I mean, you look at that, is this his first start under Moyes?
Yes, it is, yeah. But you've also got to think, Dyche never played to his strengths. Better strengths is you play the ball in behind for him to run onto. Dyche's strategy is the strike holds the ball up for then the wingers or the attackers to run in behind us, so then the striker will play the ball for it. But with Moyes, it's the striker is the main man. You feed the ball to him, whether it be over the top or across the floor, whatever. So obviously it's playing to his strengths, which Dyche never done, which maybe that's where he failed as a manager ever, maybe.
Well, that win for Leicester, well, you were hoping that it would put them closer to Spurs, but obviously Spurs beat Brentford 2-0, meaning you've now got to keep winning and hope that Spurs either drop points or lose. Yeah, good game for Everton. Now we're going to talk about this has to be if it's not the best, second best Premier League game from last weekend. Screw it, I'm gonna say it was the best. I don't really care about the fact that Forest destroyed Brighton 7-0. This game on its own was the best. I mean, it's two big clubs collide, and obviously, I'm talking about Arsenal versus Man City. Finished 5-1 to Arsenal. We first need to talk about Mikel Arteta and say what a great job he did against City. I mean, coming up against City, who have been coming back into form, obviously getting tied against Real Madrid in the playoffs might have put in their minds, oh God, we need to perform here against Arsenal and then win our FA Cup match because they've literally got their first leg of the playoff next Tuesday, I think. Yeah. So they really need to put the pressure on Real Madrid and say, we are the team that is the one that needs to be beaten in this Champions League. You've got to come to us and beat us. Otherwise, we're going to capitalise and beat you. And obviously, Real Madrid and City have faced each other before. And obviously, it's gone two ways for both teams. Let's talk about Pep and say, what did he do wrong against Arsenal?
I think they didn't keep the shape as good. They weren't disciplined enough in terms of they just allowed Arsenal to walk through them, but at the end of the day, Haaland, stay humble, eh? No, all serious, all credit to Arsenal. They've went out and they've spanked City 5-1. But City, the players need to take a hard look at themselves and think, I need to be criticised that it's my fault that we're losing or we're in this rut of form. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe in the manager. I don't believe in the manager. The manager can only take you so much in terms he can coach you, show you where he wants you to play, show his vision of what you want to play. He can't physically, well, he probably could, but he's probably knackered. But he can't physically play the game himself. That's why he's got players. That's why he coaches the players. So I don't know what Pep's trying to change, whether he's trying to change from his old system or a system that he's known that he wins matches to something completely different, or it's because Rodri's not there. Like we said last week, I think we both said that Rodri was like the super glue of the Manchester City team. Like he just sits in front of that back line, more of a box to box. He just stays out and glues that team together, so to speak. But City have got a massive amount of talent. I'm not saying Arsenal don't, but Pep Guardiola should be. I expected a better result at the weekend against them, not going to lie. Like, I think I said City were going to win 2-0, didn't I, or something like that. I expected a bit more from City. Like you said, they started picking up form. I thought, great, picking up form. They might go on a little run of form where they normally go or from now to the end of the season where they don't stop winning. But it feels like they've just hit another hurdle. Like Haaland misfiring, and you just give them a 9-year contract. I think they need to take a hard look at themselves and every player and think, right, do I now knuckle down and train a little bit harder so the next game this thing doesn't happen again in terms of we lose. We need to be more like Everton, not like Everton, but more like a team again where we're both fighting for each other and create the space.
Yeah, I mean, talking back to Haaland about his 9-year contract extension, there's obviously that thing where, like, everyone's thinking, oh, is he going to break Alan Shearer's record for the most Premier League goals? And obviously, this 9-year contract extension, in my opinion, don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but I don't think he's going to stay at City for 9 years. I think if Madrid or Barcelona come along with a good deal, Haaland will take it and say, right, I'm leaving Pep. Bye.
Yeah. But if I'm Haaland, obviously I would go if the big clubs come calling like Madrid, Barcelona. But also he's also got to look at where would he most likely get playing time. So at Madrid, would he fit in the front three? Possibly not. Because that front three is massive in Madrid. You know, you've got Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, Rodrigo on the right wing. You've got Bellingham just in behind Mbappe, which is quite a strong forward. That's a strong attacking lineup. Where if Barcelona came calling, I'd rather go to Barcelona because if you think about it, they've got Lewandowski, who is an aging striker. Even though he's still banging goals in for fun, I think they would rather have someone who's for like a good couple more years, like Haaland, who you can have more longevity of rather than quick buck, so to speak, of buying players.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about two goal scorers for Arsenal that need mentioning. I mean, praise to them. Lewis Skelly and, don't mind the pronunciation here if it goes wrong, Ethan Nanyeri, I think that's how you say it. Both young, both come from the youth squad, getting called up straight away to play for Arsenal. You look at this Arsenal side and think they're doing good with a youth team. They're sometimes relying on those youth team players to come in and get past the defense. I mean, you look at Lewis Skelly and his goal. I mean, the City defense just wouldn't go into him. They didn't want to even go near him to tackle him. He just ran through their defense like nothing, and obviously he gets his goal. And then you look at Nanieri's goal. I mean, he got through, and once you're through, you got to take your chance, and he took it. And I mean, I loved Lewis Skelly's celebration, though. Cole to do the Haaland celebration and stay there for that long.
Yeah, he's got massive cojones for doing that in front of Haaland. Big respect for that. No, like you said, it is good that there's youth players coming through the ranks at Arsenal. You look at the ones that have come through on the past, Saka, Smith Rowe. Saka, I know he's not playing for Arsenal at the minute because he's injured, but they're taking their chances now as youth players to showcase their talents. To Arteta saying, I'm warranting a starting place now. I want to keep in the starting 11. And I do think they're both doing that. And also, the future looks kind of bright for the England setup as well because they're both talented young players that hopefully Thomas Tuchel is watching them, thinking, right, I might call you up for the England squad, or I know you're a bit young, you might come up to like the under-21s or something like that, for him to have a bit more of a look in at those players and think, right, we've got a good crop of youth talent here. Let's keep to the tight hold of it. Let's not do what we've done with Jamal Musiala, where we've let him go to Germany and now he's a German international footballer. Like, can you imagine if we had Jamal Musiala and Bellingham in that England setup, though, in the Euros? We would have been all right. But I go on a little tangent there. I know I did talk about Jamal Musiala, but I was only putting the same bracket as the youth players that Arsenal have got.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there's someone brought out this thing on Instagram where it was like the England team, if they chose to play for England, I mean, it's a team that could easily win a World Cup and a Euros. But like, hey ho, we get out of it. They picked who they wanted to pick. But Haaland made the big mistake of picking Norway and they can't even qualify for a World Cup. But hey, at least they'll be able to win some trophies. That win for Arsenal, well, it keeps the pressure on Liverpool to keep performing. But I mean, once we get that win against Everton, that 9 point gap is going to be hard for Arsenal to get back. I saw something on Instagram where it was Liverpool only need to win 12 more games, and mathematically, we are crowned champions already. And that's if Arsenal keep getting 3 points. I mean, if Arsenal slip up once, I mean, we could easily have that league title done by, I think, probably like end of April if Arsenal slip up. But yeah, good result for Arsenal. Now we move on to, well, biggest scoring game of the Premier League last week. Nottingham Forest 7, Brighton 0. I saw something, it came on the BBC News, that this pub that was showing it, the Forest fans, they said that every goal the Forest scored, they give out a free pint to everyone in the pub. I mean, that must have been a big bill.
Oh, 100%. I saw that as well. If I was the landlady, I'd be absolutely fuming, going, oh no. Do you know what I would have done? I would have turned the game off. Going, oh, the game's finished. Oh, well. that game, what a corker of a match, eh? 7-0. You know, who would have thunk that game was 7-0? They both.
Mm.
I know Brighton had a little slip up against us, you know, penalty decision. Brighton fans don't like it. Do you want? I did think they would have done something a bit better against Forest, but then again, Forest are firing at the minute. All their players, they signed like 26 million players. They're all starting to become good. You know, Chris Wood, he's on fire. You know, hat-trick again. You know, he could be actually in contention to beat Salah for the Golden Boot if he's not too careful. You know, it's mad. What are they drinking in Forest? Because I want to know.
That game, right? I mean, you look back at Chris Wood and think, yeah, got a chance to win the Golden Boot. I mean, you look at the top four, well, it's top three because there's two people tied in the Golden Boot. You got Salah on 21 in first, Haaland on 19 in second, and then Isaac and Chris Wood are tied on 17. Chris Wood has the potential to win the Golden Boot if he keeps trying, and Forest absolutely destroyed the Brighton defence. I mean, what went wrong for Brighton's defence to just get smashed 7-0? And what went wrong with the attack to not score a single goal?
Defensively, I think they weren't disciplined enough. I know I keep saying the word disciplined enough. And when I talk about defending, their defensive shape hasn't been the best in terms of they need to be a bit more of a solid back line. And also, they've lacked probably concentration as well. Because, you know, you think about it, if you take your eye off that ball for a split second in the Premier League, you're going to get punished. Brighton done that 7 times. They lost the game 7-0. Attacking wise, they've got quite a youthful attacking front line, haven't they? With Matoma, Minter, and who's this striker now? Oh, it's Danny Welbeck, of course. It's not youthful now, is it? Because you've thrown him into the mix. But but then again,
Mm.
Welbeck's an experienced striker, so he should boast of some sort of experience in how to win games or score goals. And obviously, that hasn't worked at Forest. No doubt, I think Brighton will bounce back and they will go on like a little informed run again. It's just finding their feet again. I think because they've been disrupted twice now, it's going to be a massive learning curve for their manager because obviously he's new to the league. He's obviously the youngest Premier League manager in the league as well. It's a massive learning curve for him in terms of he needs to go back to the drawing board and see what can he do. What like little tweaks can you do to the team in order to get the result next time round?
Yeah, I mean, that win for Forest there keeps them in third place, only 3 points now of Arsenal. I mean, I thought, because the run that they were having, I thought, oh, it's just one of those little blimps that some teams have. They go on that run. Obviously, they end up bottling it. It doesn't look like Forest are going to bottle this great run. I mean, I'd put them in Europe straight away. I mean, let's be honest. Wait, isn't it sixth place as well that gets a
Yeah.
European
And
spot?
also, you've also got a thing as well. Forest, they've got a good manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, who was the former Wolves manager and was the former Tottenham manager. You know, obviously it didn't work well with him at Tottenham, but it certainly worked well with him in Nottingham Forest. To me, nothing's changed with his tactics. Obviously, the players must suit his tactics better at Forest than they did at Tottenham. But then again, Tottenham have got a big caliber of players, so how it didn't work at Spurs, I will never know. But it seems to be that way with Ange Postecoglou. In terms of last season, he was fantastic. His players were flying in left, right, and centre, chipping in goals. Yet they sold Harry Kane to Bayern Munich, but they still got results. This season's, I know Spurs fans will be the same, but we've got too many injuries. Nah, nah, nah. You've still fielding 11 players on the pitch that can play football at the end of the day, so they should be able to get results as well. And I don't think sacking the manager I don't think sacking Ange is the prime perfect example to get rid of him because I think he's also a world class manager. Well, not world class because that means putting him in bracket of Pep Guardiola. He's a decent manager, but I think Spurs just need to give managers a bit more time to get things right. I do. I think the biggest mistakes. I know I've gone off a tangent again because we've had Forest, Spurs, and Spurs. I do think they went. I think they fired Mourinho too soon because he got them into a final of the cup, and then within two days before the cup, he got fired. Why you fire a manager who's known for winning trophies 2 days before the final, and then put a young lad in charge of it, and obviously they lost it. Anyway, going back to Espirito Santo, he's now got the job at Forest. He's doing remarkably well. long may this informed Forest continue, and it would be nice to see Forest back in the European competition again.
Yeah, let's hope they could win it. Joking at that. I hope they don't win it. They'll probably get knocked out anyway, probably in this new format anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, now we're gonna move on to something that happened on Monday. Most of you will know what I'm talking about. It's something called the dreaded transfer deadline day for the January transfer window. We can't really call it January transfer window because it goes on till February. So, January/February transfer window. And we're going to talk about the big moves that were made. We're going to talk about, obviously, Everton moves with their players. Liverpool didn't sign anyone. We only let out loan players like Jaden Dance to
No, of
Southampton, I
Sunderland.
think. I mean, Sunderland. Oh, wait, he'll sit well in
Hang on,
with
what was his
Job.
name?
Jaden Dance, the striker.
Yeah, Sunderland.
Yeah, he'll suit well in with Joe Bellingham there. What a partnership there'll be. Yeah, so and we're also going to talk about well, City's little 200 million plus on signing players.
PSR, where are you?
They really don't care. Yeah, they really don't care about these charges that are going to hit them anyway. So yeah, well, we'll start with the one that was announced, which was kind of a shock one, but I think we knew it was going to happen. Marcus Rashford going on a loan deal to Aston Villa, with the option to buy at the end of the season. I mean, let's be honest, they've just got rid of John Duran, who obviously we'll talk about later on, Villa. So I think Rashford, he'll shoot well into that team, but it's whether he can perform under Emery or not.
Yeah, Rashford to Villa was a strange one in terms of moving from Manchester to Birmingham, which, quite weird. What has he done to annoy Ruben Amorim? Or what has Ruben Amorim done to annoy Rashford?
I think it was the fact that he just wasn't giving him the playtime, and I don't think Rashford was showing his potential or his best performances in the training ground.
Well, the thing is, then, if he's not showcasing his performance on the training ground, Rashford needs to take a hard look at himself and think, I need to put the extra work in and make sure I'm looking good and feeling good. Like Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, he's there when training first opens to when he leaves. He's the first one in, last one out. And he's got a very good reputation for that. Rashford, on the other hand, I don't know what is up with him, but he needs to find his goal scoring form. Maybe you'll find it at Villa. But let's not forget this Marcus Rashford, he was talked about when he burst on the scene that he was going to be the next Wayne Rooney, wasn't he? He was going to beat Wayne Rooney's goal scoring record at United. There's been times where he showed his glimpses of being a fantastic player, but then he sort of dimmed a little bit. Like I said, is it due to not loving football as much anymore, or tactics aren't suiting him? Maybe Unai Emery could unlock something and he could be class in the second half of the season with Villa. Which in that case, 40 million, by the way, is the buyout option for Rashford, which I think is a steal for someone like Rashford's caliber,
Mm.
if getting the right amount, getting the right system for him to work him.
Well, Villa can afford it, so I think they'll take it, honestly. If he performs well, I think they'll put that option to buy into clause and say, we'll take him if he can perform well. Obviously, get some goals and provide assists for Ollie Watkins, who, by the way, it was rumoured that coming out just a few hours before the transfer window actually closed, that Ollie Watkins, Arsenal wanted him. And Aston Villa wanted 60 million for him. Right. So, by the way, you've just sold John Durant to Al Nassr for 72 million. So you want to sell the player that's played less games, sits on the bench most of the time, to the Saudi Al Nassr for 72 million. But for Ollie Watkins, who actually plays the games and scores the goals, you want to sell him for less to Arsenal, who need a new striker. I don't know. That doesn't make sense for Emery, but if it's what he wants to do, it's what he wants to do. I think he put down that 60 million so that to say that, oh, if you don't want to go any higher than 60 million, we won't sell him. I think 60 million was going to be the benchmark. Even if they went lower or higher, I think Emery would have said nah. Because I think Emery wants to try and get the most out of Ollie Watkins before he says, right, you can go. Because I know Arsenal are going to want a top class striker soon, and Ollie Watkins might be that man. But hey, we're going too far deep into Ollie Watkins when we were talking about Rashford. Yeah, let's see what Rashford can do for the rest of this season at Villa. Now we're going to move on to Matthias Tell, who's gone to Spurs on a loan. Has he got an option to buy as well, or is it just
It's
a
just a
loan?
loan. I think I saw the other day. Because I think Bayern Munich want him back. I'm not too sure on that regard. Let me just fact check this for you.
I mean, Spurs have been needing someone anyway to score some goals since Solanke and Son have been blanking a lot recently, so maybe Matthias Tell can be
Who's
that guy.
there's Fabrizio Romano? There he is. Because he'll have it on, won't he?
Yeah, Fabrizio Romano has everything.
Oh, he does have a buy option at the end of his contract. So I heard Tell has signed his contract at Tottenham, but with the buy option clause also included in the loan agreement from Bayern. Bayern have accepted the new conditions as Spurs will cover the salary until June and now also have a chance to trigger the option clause of €60 million in the summer.
I think Spurs will take that, honestly. I think they'll
Yeah,
activate
well,
it.
let's be honest, they need something to freshen up their front line. I know Son, yet again, it's like Salah for yous. You know, yous rely on Salah, don't use to get the goals. Spurs rely a lot on Son to get the goals and create and be that creative in-game factor for them. So maybe adding another player sort of takes the weight off Son's shoulders, so to speak. But then also if you, as a winger like Kulusevski, who's constantly playing, you'd be saying they're going, oh God, I need to start performing as well so I don't get benched.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope Tell can perform at Spurs. And yeah, because I don't want Spurs to struggle without a striker, because I think Poster and just come under a lot of pressure recently by the fans. They're not getting the results they want, and obviously, I think the fans will be quite annoyed if they do end up losing tonight to us. Obviously, missing out on probably what could have been a trophy that they could have won. But yeah, let's hope Tell can do good for Spurs. Now we're going to talk about a player that Everton have signed, Carlos Alcaraz. I've heard of his name, but I've never seen him play. But isn't he a midfielder?
Yeah, he is. He's a midfielder from Flamenco. He played for Southampton in. Bear in mind, this lad's only 22 years of age, so he's still very young. He's Argentinian. He played for Flamenco. He played for Southampton in 23-24 season, where he played 42 games, scored 7 goals. He then went on to Juventus on loan, which is a mad one, because if you're playing for Southampton, how the hell did you end up on Juventus' radar? And then it looks like, so I think Southampton bought him from Racing Club, had him for a season. He went on loan to Juventus, and then Flamenco in Brazil bought him, and now he's on loan to us. In the terms of this signing, it's a smart one, you know, in terms of because you know we've had the injury to Orel Mangala, however you say his name. You know, with the devastating ACL injury that he's picked up, so you know we are lacking in that midfield bit now in the terms of depth and another body for us to think about. But if he can hit the ground running and showcase his talent for us a bit, then I don't see why not. Why, you know, we could be risking taking it. We could have a little gamble and buy him on a contract. But let's just see what he plays like first. You know, he could be absolutely woeful, or he could be absolutely decent and absolutely run that midfield. It'll be nice. It'd be nice to see a little bit of a fresh face in that midfield, I think, as well. Because I think at the minute, Garner and Decore, even though they've been doing well in that midfield, I think they're due a game where they're both tired and they can't run anymore. So maybe he gives us this little burst of energy. But yeah, a loan option, I think that's quite smart from us instead of wasting money. Let's just see if it pans out.
Yeah, let's see if he fits into Moyes' system. Now we're going to talk about what I think is probably the shocking transfer. John Duran to Al Nassr for 72 million. I mean, let's be honest, Duran is 26 years old. And Al Nassr, who, bear in mind, already have a good striker, Ronaldo, but obviously his days are coming to an end at 40 years old, but he's still banging them in. I think, depending on it, Duran might not stay, because I don't think.
Corey, he's not 26, he's 21.
What? He's 21?
John Duran's 21.
Oh my God. He's got to Saudi. What?
Yeah, I don't know where you got 26 from.
21 years old and going to Saudi Arabia. Man, I think that's a good move.
It's a smart move, isn't it? I think Saudi's become the new China, hasn't it, in terms of securing the bag and going over there and getting basically set up for life now, aren't you? When you go over there, like you were in China, so to speak. You know, I don't know if you remember Oscar, who played for Chelsea.
Oh yeah, I know Oscar.
Fantastic footballer for Chelsea. He obviously went to the Chinese league, and he's set up for life now. So I think the Saudi league's becoming like that. It is devastating to the sport, I think, in terms of the Premier League, losing a player of that caliber to the Saudi league at such a young age. You know, he showcased his talent at Villa. Obviously, I know he's had his differences at Villa, because I know he wants to leave, didn't he, in the summer to West Ham, and he done that controversial video where he done the Hammers side. And obviously, it wasn't the deal for Duran to go to West Ham, but to go to Saudi, fantastic signing now. But like I said, a huge loss for the Premier League, because it's such a big talent just gone. Hopefully he might come back. You know, at the end of the day, he is only 21, even though you did think he was 26. He is only 21 at the end of the day, so he could. You know, he might do a Jordan Henderson, might find out the Saudi league isn't for him, and he might want to come back to the Premier League, or he might come back to an A league in Europe. It could be, you know, the Serie A, Bundesliga, even La Liga. You know, we just don't know. Or he could stay on the surface his whole career and earn loads of money. But yeah.
Yeah, because I do think, obviously, when Ronaldo does call it quits, Duran will be first choice striker for Alma. So I'll see how he does. I'll be following him, because I actually want to see how he does at Saudi, and I want to see how long he'll actually stay there before he says, "Oh, I might want to come back." But yeah, let's see what he can do. Now I'm going to talk about a team that I don't think they really care anymore. I mentioned it before about their charges and stuff. Manchester City. 200 million plus spent on players in the January transfer window. Come on. Is it really required? Like, they really need the amount of players that they've signed. I mean, Momosh, obviously, they've signed. They signed a centre back as well. I mean, it gets to a point now where I think City players probably are thinking, hold on, is our spot at risk of being taken here because of Pep bringing in these players?
If I'm a Man City player coming to lots of stages of my career where I've been playing for Pep under 7 or 9 years, or how long Pep's been at City for, I would be sat there going, God, I've been in the starting 11 for about 6, 7 years with Pep, and I've got this fresh freak coming through the door. I'll be starting thinking, going, is my place under scrutiny? Am I going to be benched? Am I going to be moved on, or am I going to be sold? But also, that 200 million, I hope he's got the receipt, because they got spanked by Arsenal. You know, cheers Arsenal, you spanked them, but that means they're going to spend another 300 million in the summer. But I don't know how PSR works, so I won't get into that much. But how can a club like City be able to spend that amount of money? They can just spend it. It's like it's pocket change. Where clubs like Everton, Villa, Wolves, Newcastle, where they can't buy players, they've got to sell to buy. Which, you could be losing one of your talented players in order to get a player in that might not do so well. Or in terms of Newcastle, I think they had to sell one of their players that need to meet the requirements, so they wouldn't get. Oh no, was it Newcastle or was it Villa?
I mean, well, the amount of clubs now that.
It was Villa, wasn't it? Because Douglas Luiz went to Juventus.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So
yeah.
they had a talent midfielder, obviously PSR come in. And obviously they've got to hit a certain target as well. So they had to sell Douglas Luiz, who's a talented midfielder for them, to Juventus.
Yeah. I mean, it gets to.
So how do you expect clubs to compete with the likes of City in the Premier League if they can't spend that 200 million like City? Just want to just drop, like mic drop, so to speak, go, you can only spend 30 million, I can spend 300 million. So, it's just unfair, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to a point where I think it seems to be the lower teams that are spending a lot less, though, that are getting the punishments. I mean, you look at Everton. Obviously, they got that 10-point deduction last season, which was
Oh,
obviously changed
so you got June
to an
30th, yeah.
8-point deduction. Yeah, but like it seems to be all the smaller teams that are getting done for it and getting point deductions,
Yeah.
and City seeming to just walk through them.
Bear in mind as well, we were only 20 million over the budget as well, that we overspent by 20 million pound.
Yeah, City have had it for over 9 years. Like,
No, let's be honest. the Premier League moved the goalposts as well in terms of that, deducting us those points, because they told us that at the start of the season, like our new stadium, which is going to be lovely, by the way. They said that wasn't going to affect our, what's the way, like the PSR wouldn't affect our PSR because we haven't moved into it yet. So it was like, great, build a new stadium, we move into it, then we'll start making the money. And then halfway through the season, you're like, oh no, that's going to contribute to the PSR. Well, thanks, we're going to be overspent by 20 million because of that. I'm not saying it's cost us 20 million to build a stadium. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, because they've decided to add our stadium into the PSR rules, that's why we got done last season, which is stupid. Because Tottenham, they got a brand new built stadium. Why aren't they not getting fined? Why aren't they not getting looked at? You know what I mean? Like Leicester, they had a friend of getting a point deduction, didn't they? Before coming up to the Premier League. They fought their case and won, which, damn, because, I really like to see Leicester get point deducted. I think last season it was only us and Forest stuck up point deductions, weren't we?
Yeah.
When City's charges going to come out? I know we're constantly hearing going, it'll be soon, it's happening in this many weeks. I want to know now, because
Exactly.
I'm not saying this as an Everton fan, I'm saying this as a football fan now who religiously tries to watch the matches every week. I want to know what's happening in the sporting world of football, not just as a footballing fan, but as an Everton fan. I mean, as a fan of watching the football and following it. We need something to, even if someone comes out and go, right, City's going to get boom, 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 and it's going to happen at this date, this date. I'll be like, sound, happy days, I'll move on with my life, I'll be happy. But no, we're constantly in this going, when's the outcome of the City case?
Yeah, exactly. And it started, they said that the 10-week trial started in, I think, either November or December. It's been over 10 weeks already, and nothing's coming out. There's not like anything saying like, oh, the trial's been done, it's finished, we're now waiting for a decision. It's just one of those things where I think the longer it goes on, the more likely City are to get away with it. I just think the lawyers that they've got, I think they could easily just get away with it.
But you've also got to think, though, if they get away with it, it will cause absolutely mayhem within the footballing world, because I think a lot of fans up and down the country will not be happy with the result. If City don't get if City get the charges dropped or whatever, I think there will be absolute mayhem up and down the country with every fan base, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what happened when they said the Super League was going to be introduced. I mean, look at what the fans did for that. I mean, think what they're going to do if City lose their charges. I mean,
Everybody lock your houses, lock your doors, just don't go outside, to be fair.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, City don't need to spend that much money, and well, I don't. And let's hope the charges do come, and it's not going to be one of those things like, oh, the charges have been dropped. I mean, I'm just happy as a Liverpool fan to say at least our owners don't want us to spend over that limit of money. I'm just happy. I'm happy that we're not going to get hit with any charges because our owners are
Stingy.
as much as I don't like. Yeah, as much as I don't like our owners, at least they're able to keep us out of point deductions.
Yeah, you've done really well in terms of you don't buy, well, you do buy players, but I mean, you don't.
We don't waste our
Yeah,
talent.
you don't waste your talent, and you don't waste. If you say to a player, I'm going to pay you, I'm going to buy you for 13 billion, and then they turn around and go, oh, well, we want 40, you go, nah, you're all right, thanks. So it's either
Exactly.
but that's where the agents come into it, don't they, and they start to mess around a bit. Because I know you were in, was it talk last year where you were going to sign Caicedo from Brighton?
Oh yeah. Oh god, don't get me started on him.
I know Klopp really loved him. I do think he would have been a good fit for you anyway. To get in that such of a battle of transfers was ridiculous. But like I said, I've got to admire Liverpool in that. I know that's not that much. I'll admire Liverpool, but I admire your transfer policies and your negotiations of how you do well by signing talent. I've got to admire you for that.
Yeah. Transfer deadline day was a weird one. Obviously for most players leaving and stuff, and City spending obviously the money that they always do anyway. But yeah. Well, we'll just wait now until we get to the summer transfer window, which will be a more tasty one than this one, hopefully. Yeah, now we're gonna move on to the part where we discuss the weekend's game results and look back at predictions that we had for this week. Let's be honest, our predictions were a bit of a shambles for this week. I'll start with the Nottingham Forest Brighton game. 7-0 to Forest. I predicted 1-1. And then you, out of all the things to do, go 3-0
Yeah,
Brighton.
I thought Brighton were going to do something against Forest. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But yeah. Oh, well, we move on. Obviously,
Yeah.
Bournemouth versus Liverpool, massive game for Areola. You know, he's beat City, he's beat Arsenal. I thought he might have done something to use. That's why I predicted 2-2. And you picked 2-0 Liverpool. You actually got that score right, so well done this week, Cody. You're now beating me 1-0. Great.
Come on. Well, now we go to your game, Everton versus Leicester. 4-0 was the final score to Everton. I mean, let's be honest, I just thought, screw Everton. I hope they get beat. I predicted 2-1 Leicester. When that first goal went in and I saw the notification pop up, I was like, oh, I'm going to eat this prediction straight away. Obviously, you predicted 2-0 Everton. Yeah, you were
No,
far
well, I
off.
predicted us to get a clean sheet, which we done. So
Mm.
another clean sheet for England's number one, which is quite nice to see.
Mm.
Next up is Ipswich versus Southampton. The result was 2-1 to Southampton. You know, you predicted 0-0. I predicted 2-0 Ipswich. You know, I did think Ipswich were going to do something. In terms, you know, they're not a bad side, are they? They've got Liam Delap. They've got Sammy Smoldick or Smoses, whatever. I can't even pronounce his surname. You know, they've got him. Who's, you know, they've got good talent there. I'm surprised they didn't get a result.
Yeah, I just was like, oh, two teams at the bottom of the table,
Mm.
gonna be a stingy 0-0 draw. But says I wasn't. Newcastle versus Fulham now. Finished 2-1 Fulham after they made an amazing comeback. Uh, well, I predicted 3-1 Newcastle, and obviously I predicted Raul Jimenez was to get sent off. But I did it, and I don't know why I predicted that. I had him in my fantasy team, so that would have been minus points. But we get on with it. He got the a goal, so I'm happy. I predicted 3-1 Newcastle. You predicted 2-1 Newcastle. So it both kind of came into consideration that we thought Newcastle were going to win.
Yeah, can I just flip mine so I can get the right result for Fulham?
No, you
Okay,
predicted it.
okay. And next up, Wolves versus Aston Villa. Final result was 2-0. Cody, if you flipped it, you would have got it right. Um, I was just wrong because I thought Villa were going to smack them 4-0. I don't know why. Maybe I was thinking about the Everton Leicester game. Maybe that's why I got confused. Yeah, that's a big shock for Villa. Massive win for Wolves. Well done, Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, Villa didn't turn up that game, so makes sense really to lose that game.
They had just lost Duran, so you know they're in the morning
Yeah.
period and hit them.
Yeah. Even though they are really, they got Ollie Watkins, but he needs to get back to his form that he was on last season. Move on to Brentford versus Spurs. I mean, finished 2-0 Spurs, and obviously me being the way it was, I actually wanted Everton for once to overtake Spurs in the table. I predicted 2-0 Brentford. You predicted 1-1.
Yeah, those Spurs main Spursy, so well done to them.
Mm.
Next up, Man United versus Crystal Palace. Final result was 2-0 to Crystal Palace. By the way, Palace, oh my God, what a team to watch this season so far.
Mm.
Jean-Philippe Mateta, what a player.
Mateta's in the room.
He's Palace have got to keep him because if they lose him in the summer, that's a lot of firepower that they're going to be lacking. You did predict 3-3, and I predicted 2-1 because I thought United might have got something out of it. They might have got the win because let's be honest, United have got some good players in terms of Garnacho and Hoyland and Xerxes, but obviously that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my prediction. It is what it is. Arsenal versus Man City. I actually didn't say my prediction on the last episode, but I in my head I was gonna go 2-2, so that's why I put 2-2. Finished 5-1 Arsenal. Was I predicted 2-2? I mean, you predicted 2-0 City.
Yeah, City let me down there, lads. Come on. Yeah, both the Arsenal fans out there, you can still suck it. Yeah, I just think he's too entitled because they expect to win every match. So, you know, being lucky that you won this one.
And they steal our chance. They were
Yeah.
singing "Ale Ale."
Oh, well, let them bask in former glories, then, shall we, Corey? And then Chelsea versus West Ham. The big irons. I expect Potter to do something against Chelsea. Being his former employer, I expected him to showcase his talents as a manager against Chelsea to say, no, 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 look what you missed. Obviously, they didn't miss very much because they won 2-1. You predicted 1-0, and I predicted 2-1 West Ham. So if I flipped mine, I would have got mine right. But obviously,
Yeah,
I didn't.
you've had a lot of them being just if you flipped them, you would have got them right.
Yeah. So I've had a stinker in terms of predictions this week. So yeah.
Well, it's 1-1 in the predictions because
Mhm.
obviously you won the first one and I've won the second one. Thanks to Liverpool. Come on. Okay, it's time for a quick break now. Liam and I will be back in just a minute with the red and blue roasts. All right, it's that time again. Strap in because we're about to crank up the rivalry with the red and blue roasts.
This is where we take the gloves off and throw some classic Liverpool versus Everton banter at each other. No holding back, just good old fashioned football rivalry with a side of laughs.
And we want you to get involved. Got a top tier roast for Everton? Maybe a brutal dig at Liverpool? I hope not. Send us your best jokes, one liners, or savage banter, and we'll read out our favourites on the show.
Email us at the red and blue sessions@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on social media. Whether you're red or a blue, bring your A game because we're ready for it.
All right then, let's see who's getting roasted today, red or blue. Let's go.
Liverpool fans love talking about history, don't they, Corey?
Yes.
Probably because it's the only place they can still find most of their Premier League titles.
Where's yours, huh? Where's your titles, huh? You can talk about history.
Back in the 80s, that's where our titles are.
Yeah, history. That's years. We were all very good anyway. Well, how about this? Why did the Everton fan bring a suitcase to Goodison Park?
Well, I don't know why. Why did the Everton fan bring a suitcase to Goodison Park, Corey?
Because they heard Everton might finally be going on a European tour. Turns out it was just a pre-season friendly in Scotland. Now we're going to go on to, well, obviously, because there's no Premier League matches this weekend. God, that voice crack. That voice crack was insane.
Do you want to redo that again?
That's all right. Keep it in. People will laugh at that. But it's going to be, instead of Premier League predictions, it's FA Cup predictions where the big shocks could occur. So the first game's on the Friday, which is tomorrow at the time we're recording this episode. Man United versus Leicester City.
Because United have been lacking firepower in recent games. I'm going to say 2-1 United.
Yeah, I mean the FA Cup gives a big chance for youth players to obviously play. I mean, look at
Yeah.
United. Look at United's youth. I think they'll get the job done over Leicester. Gonna say do you know what? You say 2-1. I'm gonna say 1-0 United.
Okay. Well, Saturday we've got Leyton Orient versus Man City.
Well, yeah, let's just put it out there now. 5-0 Man City.
I'm going to be the odd one in the room here and say Leyton Orient 2-0.
Oh my god. That prediction's gonna come back and hit you hard.
I don't care. I just love to watch City's downfall at the minute.
Now we move on to Everton versus Bournemouth. I mean, let me put it out there. Everton 2, Bournemouth 1.
Well, unfortunately, Corey, I am going to be going to watch this game live, so I'll be happy in this situation because I will be going to see it. Do you know what? Last time we were at Goodison, the past 2 times, we've won 3-0 before half time. I'm saying 3-1, Evan.
Bold prediction there. Southampton versus Burnley. I mean, this is a good game. I put this in there not just because of the fact that Southampton are a Premier League side. It's the fact that this is big because obviously Burnley are obviously going to be coming back up to the Premier League. This will be a good game.
Yeah, so what's your prediction for that, Corey?
Oh, do you know what? Wait, I can't remember. We don't have replays now in the FA Cup, do we?
No, it's straight pens.
No, it's extra time then penalties.
No, it goes to straight pens.
Wait, what about the Arsenal United game in the FA Cup?
Oh, no, sorry. It does go to extra time. My bad. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
forgot the Spurs and Tamworth, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry, yeah. Extra
Oh
time and
man,
pens.
I feel like that's where because I was watching the Rest is Football podcast with Alan Shearer, Gary Lineker, and Micah Richards, and they were talking about that Everton Tamworth game and saying that's where replays could come in because obviously Tamworth had kept them 0-0 going into full time, and obviously extra time kind of does benefit the teams with more players than obviously, for example, Tamworth, and obviously Spurs took their advantage and obviously smashed them 3-0 in extra time, but it's just one of them where I think replays do need to be scrapped because I think teams don't want to have to wait so long to just play them again.
Replays shouldn't be scrapped because it helps the lower leagues out a lot more than you think in terms of the money could go towards improving the training facilities or the pitches or whatever it may be. But I think it should be, if you're in the Championship or the Premier League, you've got a chance of a replay. I don't think it should be from the lower leagues. Like, you want to see, for argument's sake, Wycombe Wanderers versus MK Dons. I know that's a massive game in terms of, I know that's Wimbledon. Anyway, they don't benefit if they have a replay because they play out how many matches a season. But if they're going to play against a championship side or a Premier League side, the excitement of probably expecting to get a replay against the top sides in English football would warrant them a bit more money. So, like I said, I think Championship and Premier League should have the replay, not the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, but there's some games, for example, like League One and stuff, where FA Cup replays could be good. I mean, you look at Wrexham and Notts County. I mean, look at the rivalry that they had last year. I mean, imagine if they draw on each other in the FA Cup, and they drew in the first match and then a replay. That'd be good for both set of fans. And I mean, you also got the big rivalry with Chester versus Wrexham. Obviously, Chester never seemed to qualify for the actual FA Cup. Always seemed to get knocked out in the qualifying rounds. But I mean, that would be big if Chelsea were to Chelsea. Why am I going to Chelsea? Chester were to play Wrexham, and then obviously they draw in the first game, and then a replay. I mean, there are some replays where with two teams where you think, oh, that'd be good for a replay, but it is what it is. They've got rid of it. Let's see how long that lasts. So going back to Southampton versus Burnley, I'm gonna say 1-1 in regular time, 90 minutes. Burnley score a goal in extra time and win the game.
I'm saying 2-1 Burnley. I think Burnley have got something to offer. And what a better way to showcase their talent against the Premier League side, Southampton.
Mm. Oh, this is a big game. You've got what is it? Tom Brady. Tom Brady's Birmingham City taking on the Saudis Newcastle.
Well, I do think Newcastle win this one 3-0. To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
I don't think the amount of money that Tom Brady has put into that club is gonna help them beat Newcastle. I'm gonna say, do you know what? Obviously, they're going to Birmingham's ground, Newcastle. I'm gonna say 2-1 Newcastle.
Yeah, well, I said 3-0, didn't I?
Yeah. Next one is Brighton versus Chelsea. I mean, ooh.
It was a tough one. Both teams have got a leaky defence at the minute, haven't they? I'm saying 1-1 regular time. Chelsea with an extra time. 2-1.
Do you know what? I'll go 0-0 in regular time. Chelsea sneak. I think Chelsea sneak 2 goals in extra time.
Okay. Now Sunday's a big game, isn't it, for Plymouth fans? They've obviously drawn your lot, Liverpool. As much as I'm going to say I want Liverpool to win, as much as I did the Leyton Orient one, thing is, the way you field your youth players.
I don't know. I mean, our youth is good. I mean, it depends on whether they can perform.
I'll say 2-0. I'm going to say about 3-0 Liverpool.
I mean, we'll play like, for example, like Nunes and stuff in that game. I think. Obviously, it depends really. I mean, I want us to perform, but obviously going down to Plymouth, obviously all their fans and stuff, and obviously you've got Pie Face who's probably going to be at that game. I can't wait to watch that video of his Plymouth vlog against Liverpool when we battered them 4-0. I'm going for the same score.
Okay. Well, I said 3-0, didn't I? So it'll be interesting who gets it right there.
Oh, big game now. Aston Villa versus Spurs.
Oh, I don't know why. I think I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs. I think it'll be a very entertaining match from both sides, but I think Spurs, they've just got something about cup runs, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, I think Spurs been great in the League Cup. Obviously, we can't really talk about the League Cup because it's just one of those cups that they just added in as another one where the teams can make more money. But I mean, I think if Spurs can at least put up a good fight against us tonight, and obviously keep us out for a bit, obviously I do think at some point we're going to obviously get past their defence and score. But I think if Spurs can maybe keep us out for, I don't know, 25 to 35 minutes and then we get a goal, I think that'll give them the confidence. Obviously, I don't think they'll want to concede more than one goal in obviously regular time. I think they'll want to try and take the game to extra time and try and get their team on the favourites to win it because obviously we don't bear very well in extra time, as you've seen with us. So yeah, in my opinion, I think if Spurs can do well against us, obviously I hope they don't win, but if they could do well and we win, Spurs 1-0. Well, that's it for this episode. Liam and I look forward to this weekend's matches. So, can Liverpool cruise past the Pilgrims?
And will Everton beat Bournemouth? We'll find out this weekend.
As always, we'll be dropping new episodes every Friday. And don't forget, the first bonus episode drops Tuesday, the 11th of February, and every Tuesday thereafter. So make sure you're subscribed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, on our website at theredandbluesessions.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Please also leave us a 5-star rating and follow us on social media to stay up to date. See you on Tuesday.
From me, Corey, up the Reds.
And from me, Liam, up the Toffees.